Welcome back to Hannity. So, following the violent protests outside a Donald Trump rally in San Jose last week, well, shocking video has now emerged of Trump supporters getting harassed and threatened and even assaulted by left-wing agitators. Now, one particularly disturbing clip shows a young boy, watch him there, being chased by a very angry mob of protesters through the streets of San Jose, eventually being tackled and thrown to the ground.
And meanwhile, I'm being accosted and having my signs, my Trump signs ripped out of my hands and everything else and spit on and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to have been a scary thing. Now, did your son got hit how many times?
He got hit twice in the back of the head. He had two big lumps on his head at the end of the night.
All right.
And then he got a cone thrown at him, too, by somebody.
And I got to give him a lot of credit because, I mean, you can't fight an angry mob. I train in martial arts. I wouldn't fight a mob that big. You're going to get killed. So even after he got tackled here for no reason, and he got tackled pretty hard, and then another guy tried to hit him with some orange thing, and then he took off again. Was he safe after that? And where were the police?
No, after that, he was about halfway to the police line, and he got up and ran to the police line. And then after he crossed the police line, they actually asked him if he was doing okay, and that was about it. And then the police, they had other things to worry about, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I seen him go through the police line. I tried to get over there to the police line and go check on his well-being, and they wouldn't let me through. And I kept saying, "That's my son, that's my son." And the guy just said, "Get back, get back."
Unbelievable. But the police saw that this mob was chasing him. Why didn't they break ranks? Do you think they were told to stand down?
Well, that's what I've heard from numerous people, even people who are police officers, that they were told to let the protesters protest. But these weren't protesters. These were people looking for a fight. I mean, there was no one chasing my son trying to exercise his First Amendment rights.
And what did the fire department do to him?
Nothing. I mean, he tried to jump on the truck, as you can see in one of the videos. They just pretty much rolled up the window and just drove off.
Wow, this scene
I don't know where they were headed. I don't know what.
This scene is pretty chilling. I mean, to see how big that mob is chasing your son is scary. Let me, if I can, go to Ms. Dillon. Now, we saw the video over and over again. Your client is being surrounded by a mob. You can see Mexican flags kind of being waved in her face. And it looks like somebody walks up at point-blank range and hits her with an egg. Is that all that happened?
No, Sean. I mean, I was actually there, too, in this mob. I was at the event, and I can tell you that what Craig just described is absolutely accurate. There are 250 police officers lined up there. They stayed in formation, and they didn't do a thing to help all of the people who were being attacked. So she had a Trump jersey on, and I think that's one of the things that caught the attention of this mob of criminals. And they pursued her. They kind of chased her. They chased her to the doors of the Marriott. What you see there is
did she get punched
this
as
young
well?
lady
Did she
in
get
front of
hit?
the doors of the Marriott. She got shoved, and she got several things thrown at her. The egg was one thing, and she was very frightened for her life. She tried to get into the Marriott, and they had shut the doors from the inside, too.
You know,
so it was a very upsetting situation.
There was one piece. I want to give you an opportunity to debunk this. There was one piece I saw on the Internet somewhere that said, oh, she was taunting the mob. I don't see that at all. Did that happen?
Well, not in that video. They started it, and she probably talked back, like saying, "Hey, you know, go away." So she did interact with them before that egg was thrown.
Yeah. What do you make? So your opinion is that the San Jose mayor, who blamed Trump for this, which is insane, but you believe that the police were told to stand down and told not to protect the people being attacked?
I do believe that. That's what I witnessed with my own two eyes. I was there with my husband at the event, and I'm shocked at his comments afterwards. And now, finally, the police are beginning to investigate it, but they haven't, to my knowledge, gotten to any of the ringleaders, and that's why we have a lawyer involved now.
Is it more than that? In other words, does your client, would you feel that the city failed in their job to protect the citizens by not being in that location when they knew something was happening?
Well, it's worse than that. They actually directed all of the victims into the line of the mob and towards danger. So that's clearly a civil rights violation under the Civil Rights Act. The civil right in question is our right to free assembly and free speech. And so everybody who was in that crowd was a victim of a civil rights violation. And then on top of that,
and your client wants the mayor to resign, to be out of office, correct?
Yeah, she signed one of those petitions for that effect, as well as many other people in the group. And I think they're also organizers of this mob that should be held legally liable for what happened there.
Craig, are you going to follow up on any of the issues? You feel that the police didn't come to the defense of your son? You believe they were aware what was happening? What is your next plan of action?
Absolutely. I mean, the police chief and the mayor need to be held accountable for their actions. I mean, what they did is unconscionable. And like she said, we were directed through the mob, and that's the worst part of it. It's one thing to let people protest, the other thing to make other people go through the protest, force them to.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to go away from the protest.
Yeah, listen, I know
that's right.
Every cop I know goes against their instincts. They see something like that happening, their instinct is to go help. The only reason I can think of for them not doing that is if they were told not to do so. But, you know, I don't have any evidence to suggest that. Do either of you have any evidence?
None whatsoever.
I've heard anecdotally from people who are, have spoken to police officers. I mean, look, right before we were directed into this mob, this group of Trump supporters was thanking the police for being there. This is generally a pro-law enforcement crowd, so this is not a knock on police in general, but in this specific instance, it's shocking to see 250 of them lined up and not lifting a finger to help hundreds of victims.
All right, we'll continue to follow the story. Thank you both for being with us. And Craig, I hope your son's okay. And I hope, of course, your client is okay.